Going on, Falcon fans? This is your boy Recondo coming back at you with another video. So today we're going to talk about the keys to victory for the Atlanta Falcons going into the game against the Carolina Panthers, a divisional game, which could be really important depending on what happened to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Thursday. Either way, it's an important game. The Falcons are currently in first in the division, tied with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game could definitely have some NFC South implications. Definitely, going into week 8 of the season. So before we get into that, we're going to definitely get into the injury update, get into some of the roster moves that have been made, kind of interesting coming into this week. And then we'll get into the keys, guys. Offense, defense, and special teams. Like I said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit notification bell so you know that I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like to hear what I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So like I said, guys, I'm glad you guys come in today. Keys to victory. Tough week last week. We got kind of blown out by the Cincinnati Bengals. Even though we tried to make it a game, we just couldn't get anything going in the second half. But as we say, we move on to Carolina, right? See Carolina Falcons get their third win at home this season, which will be just a good start for these guys, showing that they can kind of develop their home field advantage. So right into that, we're going to get into our first topic of tonight, which is going to be talking about the injury updates for this team. As we all know, the Atlanta Falcons definitely had a big, injury bug going around for the team, especially in our secondary. Both our starting corners going to be out this week. However, we was able to get D. Alford back on the injury report. He was limited today, so we'll be really interested to see how his workload goes throughout the week. Hopefully, he can play. He definitely might actually start on the other outside cornerback. They had Cornell Armstrong starting there last week after AJ Terrell went down. But if D. Alford get back, he probably is going to end up being that other outside corner on the other side of Darren Hall. Two young cornerbacks. We was really impressed with the way D. Alford played this offseason. What actually got him to get that roster spot. He's a baller. He's going to go out. He's going to compete every play. That's all you can ask for. Cornerback, you have to forget about the next play, move on to the next play. You out there on the island by yourself. So, sometimes the receiver's going to get the best of you, but you got to keep on giving up, getting up, getting back into the game. One thing that we do know about Atlanta Falcons, what happened to us last week was the big plays. They gave up too many explosive plays on defense, and it was in the passing game. And that's really what the turn of the game was. With the foreplay of the game, Tyler Boyd got an explosive play. Richard Grant fell to the ground. They was able to actually go out there and do their things. So good to have D. Alford back out there. We're definitely going to see if he's going to be able to go this week. He was limited practice day. AJ Terrell did not practice. Arthur Smith said on Monday it's going to be week to week. I anticipate him not playing this week. I think he need to go ahead and heal up. As far as any other guys on the injury report that was on the IR, none of those guys are due to come back this week. Look like Cordell Patterson actually might be back next week. That's when he's due to be able to return. Of course, we've been seeing films out there, him running, getting ready. He's definitely going to be in shape, ready to go. But they can manage his workload once he get back, because what we have seen from Caleb Huntley and from Tyler Algier, that could be a running back by committee, but we definitely can use another explosive player like Cordell Patterson getting back out there. So it's going to be good to see. No word again on Jalen Mayfield or Dane Williams or John Fitzpatrick, the other guys that was out there on IR. No other word on those guys. So, guys, that is the injury report. Hopefully, definitely, we hope we get to see those guys back out there soon. and get ready. But right now, the focus is going to be definitely on the Carolina Panthers to see what these guys actually can do this weekend. All right, let's get to the next topic. The next topic is going to be some roster move. I think this was reported yesterday. I think it was actually very shocking to see that Marlon Davidson, second round pick on the Atlanta Falcons. Of course, it was from the Thomas Dimitrov, Dan Quinn era. A young player that just could not stay healthy, was not able to get on the field his first year. It was definitely tough one, the COVID year. Um, got COVID in that year, had lower extremity injuries, could never stay healthy throughout his career while he was in Atlanta Falcons. Still a young guy, only played 19 games with the Atlanta Falcons, one start. You guys recall he did get a pick six on Tom Brady, who all thought that was Tom Brady last season. So he does have a couple highlight plays. But Marlon Davidson, I was really excited to see this young man get out there and see the things that he was going to be able to do. However, he was not able to stay healthy. So I'm really not surprised, especially the emergence of a guy like Taquan Graham, the fifth round pick that the Atlanta Falcons drafted last year. Guys like Timothy Horn, been big, playing big in spots as well. The addition of Jonathan that they brought back him. So the things about just bringing some of the guys that they had in that room at depth, and um, we did not know that Marlon Davis actually had a procedure on his knee um, while he was put on IR in the first place, which means probably was a long term injury, and so they decided to cut ties for him. I don't think this is the end for him. Definitely not. This is the second um, defensive tackle or defensive end player that the Atlanta Falcons have cut from the Dan Quinn, Thomas Dimitrov era. If you guys remember, they also had Dietrich Not third round pick that got cut as well. So this is truly starting to look like the Terry Fontenot, Arthur Smith team that they want. The guys that's left over from this team is definitely the guys that they want to be part of their future going forward. So this hopefully, like I said, Marlon Davidson able to pick up somewhere else, and we can actually see him flourish and have the potential of things we can do. On his most famous quotes he had was at the combine when he said that he get to hit people and hurt people and don't get locked up and go to jail. So I was definitely excited to see that transpire on in the Atlanta Falcon uniform, but he just could not stay healthy, and that's just the way it goes, guys. Sometimes some of you guys that you think going to be here a while, that's going to be, contribute to this team and going forward. This was not the case for Marlon Davidson. So what's going on, Kelvin? Rise up. This was not the case for Marlon Davidson, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles, right? All right. Other roster moves. The Atlanta Falcons released Bradford, Jordan Bradford, outside linebacker from the practice squad, and they picked up Bo Pete Keys, guy who's been in the league 3 years, had time with the Colts, the Bears, and the Chiefs. 6'1", 200 pounds, little experience. Like I said, we kind of figured that they was going to go put somebody else up, another defensive backup, just to to shore up that room. We lost two of our corners. The offer is still limited, so we don't know the status. Art Smith actually said today that Avery Williams, if somebody else would have went down, probably would have had to come back and play cornerback. We know he got drafted as a corner, so but not been too much of a stretch for him to do that. However, we know he transitioned to running back this year, so he would have been a young guy that's returning punts, kickoffs, on runner on special teams, and now playing defensive back. That versatility is something that is really great for a player to be able to, solidify his roster spot on the team. But I don't think none of us want to see, a guy like Avery Williams go out there and play cornerback, which means that our secondary would really been depleted. So bringing in a guy like Bo Pete Keys, just to shore up the secondary while we get these injuries under wrap and see how that's going to work. The interesting things to see how Dean Pease adjusts his defensive scheme, his the way he called the game, based off having some guys, two guys that's definitely been with us the entire offseason who has competed, has showed some flashes, and D. Alford and Darren Hall out on the outside. I think is going to bode well for us. We already know that Jalen Hawkins is going to be out, so it looked like Dean Marlowe and Eric Harris going to have to pick up that other safety spot along with Richie Grant, and we got Isaiah Oliver back there. So trying to piece together that defensive backfield is going to be interesting to see how Dean Keys decide to go with the game plan this weekend against the Carolina Panthers. All right, guys, that's the injury update. That's the roster moves. We'll still have to see. One of the things that I really want to talk about, we talk about roster, is the trade deadlines is coming up soon. We just seen a big trade. Quinn going to the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a great trade. I think they gave up a 4th round pick for him. The Philadelphia Eagles are definitely going for it. Still one of the only undefeated team in the league today. So the Philadelphia Eagles are going for it. Bring us back to the Falcons, who have about a little bit over $9 million in salary cap space. So if they wanted to make a trade, they had the opportunity to. I think they probably going to stay pat unless it was something that somebody out there that they probably could see moving forward for the future. I don't see them doing like a 1-year rental kind of trade just for this year to compete. Definitely want to still compete, but unless they're going to make a trade for a guy that they trying to see for a future, future moves for this roster, I do not see the Atlanta Falcons making any trades. So it would be nice to get a guy like Robert Quinn or something like that, but that's not definitely where the Falcons at right now. They are in competition for a playoff spot, but I don't know if they're ready to start to give up draft capital this season to try to go for it. They are a competitive team, but still probably not ready to compete for a Super Bowl this year. So that's about the roster moves by the trade deadline coming up. If they make a move, we'll sit here and come on here and talk about it and see what these guys maybe or may not do. All right, the next topic, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get into the keys. Offensive keys for this game against the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. Right now, we know our offense, what it's all about. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. The identity that's out there, run, mouth, smash type offense. Want to run the ball down your throat, control the clock, dominate in the trenches, and take the wheel from teams. Even if you look at the game from last week, if you looked at some of those players, especially on that 14 play drive that Atlanta Falcons had, those Cincinnati Bengals defensive lineman was huffing and puffing on that drive. If we could sustain something like that, we probably would have a better chance. However, the biggest issue for our Atlanta Falcons offense right now is really not about the running game. It's about opening up and unlocking our passing game, which is something definitely teams are starting to get to try to hone in on. If you want to beat the Atlanta Falcons, make them pass the ball, which means they're going to start putting 8 men in the box. Which when you do that, when you put 8 men in the box, it should be advantageous for you to be able to pass the ball down the field. We have the weapons to take advantage of that on the outside. Now we got to be able to hold up in the line of scrimmage, and the quarterback could be able to get the weapons, the ball. So that's where we're at on the offensive keys. And my first offensive key today for the Atlanta Falcons will be run against the Carolina Panthers defensive front. Carolina Panthers defense has been pretty good for a long time. Nothing has changed. They still got Derrick Brown in the middle, Burns on the outside, great secondary and their safeties and their corners. So it's definitely a great linebacker as well. So it's definitely going to be a task for Atlanta Falcons. one thing they want to do still, it's no secret, is be able to establish the running game. Um, and if they can do that, went over 100 yards again last week. So um, I don't think we might have one game this year where we was not able to go over 100 yards, and maybe every game we probably went over 100 yards. So the Falcons' run game is solid. It's something that the Atlanta Falcons want to do. So definitely, it's going to be a task to try to run against, like I said, this stout Carolina Panthers front, and we'll just have to see how it pans out. I think the Atlanta Falcons can once again wear these guys down. Definitely something they want to do: run the ball, control the clock, time possession, limit the possessions on the other side, um, and that will definitely make us successful. So, get back to our running ways. This is what we do. I'm not saying we need to get away from that. So you have to establish the run game early, be able to maintain it throughout the game. So that's my first key, is to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. The second key is, can we unlock the passing game? It's just that simple. It's something that, if the Atlanta Falcons want to start to being successful, like I said, this is a passing lead. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. However, there's all different ways to win games. Arthur Smith keep mentioning that in his press conferences, that the objective is to win. Looking at the stats in the passing game, things like that, he is right. We have went one, and ways we're not passing for so many yards, not having a lot of targets for our outstanding weapons out there, timely passes on the things that he's looking for to try to get done. However, if you want to actually be successful, you got to be able to do both. I think they need to try to be a little bit more balanced. So to keep the defense on its P's and Q's. Yes, you got to run the ball, but you got to be able to pass. I just don't understand if if you get a good running game going, it should be easy for you to pass the ball, because they're gonna bite up on the run. That's the whole ideal of the run game, is to open up the passing game for you. The Falcons has been successful running the ball, but if we could balance that off and running the ball, Drady says here, we got to force Marcus Mariota to throw more at the point and we'll start Ritter. We'll just have to see. I got a question for you guys. When you talk about Desmond Ritter, I agree. Running pass. We'll take some deep shots. Yeah, I mean they did that last week. Take some deep shots, but I think you have to just open up a little bit more. But the question I got is really about, I know it's preseason, just going back to preseason, and you can't take a lot from preseason, but in a way you can, especially a player you have never seen before. In NFL, when I'm talking about Desmond Ritter, and it seems to me that Arthur Smith called a different game when Desmond Ritter was under center than he calls with Marcus Mariota. It seemed like they passed the ball more. That's the way I took it. I just want to know if you guys agree with that. Did it feel like when Desmond Ritter was in the game, he actually passed more, and the offense looked more fluent? It looked more polished when Desmond Ritter. I understand that he was playing backups, and they're not scheming and anything like that. But to me, and on my opinion, it just looked more fluid when Desmond Ritter was out there. It seemed like he's more of a pure passer. However, I think he calls a different game with Marcus Mariota. He calls more read options, plays like that, big shots, because Marcus Mariota could use his legs more. It seemed like he calls a different game. Just my, what I seen, and if that's the case, I would think if Desmond Ritter was to get in the game, Arthur Smith probably would call the game differently. And you might be right. We would see more passes down the field. So that's one of the things that I was definitely thinking about. And in my opinion, like I said, I just think that That's one of the things that we definitely need to do. Be able to pass the ball. Kevin says here, I think you're right. The intermediate pass is like 10 to 15 yards more with Ritter. I that's what I'm saying. Like I said, I understand that it was preseason, so can't take a lot out of preseason. I do understand that, especially when they're not scheming for you. They haven't got a lot of film on you and things like that. But it just seemed like he called a different game. Even in preseason, it seemed like he called a different game for Marcus Mariota than he called for Desmond Ritter. So I don't know um, where he's at with Desmond Ritter right now. One thing we do know, he's happy with Marcus Mariota. I don't think on the outside looking in, don't seem like he's upset with Marcus Mariota play. I'm not saying everything is on Marcus Mariota. It just seemed like the offense, from a passing game standpoint, it was more fluent um, than it was with Marcus Mariota and the So I agree with you. The intermediate passing game was a whole lot better with Desmond Ritter. All right, the last key, guys, is for offense this week is just control the game on offense, and if we could do that, I mean, just dictate them how they're gonna call the game. If we could control the ball, time possession is big. If you guys remember last season when the Carolina Panthers came to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, that's exactly what they did. They was able to control the claim. They ran the ball down our throat. I don't know how many yards they had, but we could not stop their running game. That's one thing we could not do. But let's turn the tables on those guys. In our own stadium this week, be able to do what they did to us is run the ball, control the clock, time possession, and that's what I'm saying. So when I say control the game, just dictate to their defense how this game is going to go. That's definitely first and second down is going to be very, very big. I think for this offense, it's always big because when the Atlanta Falcons offense this year gets good down and distance on first and second down, it opens up a lot for our offense. So when I say control the game, that's what I mean. Be solid on first and second down, convert on third downs. If you can sustain long drives, awesome, because the more and more you have those guys out there, when they come time to the fourth quarter to come and try to run your 4-minute offense and things like that, those guys will be exhausted because they've been out there their entire game. So control the game. That's what I would love to see the Atlanta Falcons do this Sunday. Ritter and London also seems to have a connection. Yes, I agree. We did not see it a whole lot because, of course, Drake London got injured in that first preseason game, so we did not see that connection like we would want to see it. But I agree. I think they do. I thought Ritter had a great connection with Jared Barnhart too, which reminds me, I did not mention him on the he was put on the IR as well with an injury. Don't know the extent of the injury, but Jared Barnhart is actually out there on the IR as well, which gives us another open roster spot, which they probably could just leave for Cardell Patterson next week when he comes back. So we'll just have to see what they decide to do with that spot. But I agree with you. Ritter in London seems to have some type of connection. He has a connection with a lot of guys. Jared Barhart was definitely one of those guys he had a connection with. But we're going to definitely see how this passing game go. But my last key on offense for these guys is to control the game. Control the game. Simply as that. All first, second, third down, time possession, control the game. And of course, make sure you put touchdowns on the board, vice. Touchdowns on the board, not field goals. D. Sloan says, I think this game, London and Pitts will get to be more involved. Hope so. We can't say that every week game plan is different. I agree. I think that um, I do like the Carolina Panthers secondary. I will not lie about that, but I still think that our offensive weapons will have the upper hand in that the matchups going against their secondary. So if they open up the game to these guys, I feel like they could have the advantage every week. If they have these guys in the game plan. Arthur Smith did say that it was plays called for these guys. We did see our offensive line couldn't hold up on some spots, especially on obvious passing downs, right? So if we, like I said, if we get into third and long, second and longs, that create those obvious passing downs, what allows the defense to play your certain way. They're not thinking about the run so much. But if you get into those good down and distance on second and third down, then your passing game definitely will be better for you, especially in this offense that Arthur Smith likes to run. Not a lot of deep shots. He takes deep shots every now and then. For the most part, it's going to be those intermediate passes down the field, timely play action passes. Sometimes when you're looking at it, he only have like one route going out. So it's a run. It's a run heavy formation, and he only had one guy going out on a route. So and if that guy does not beat his guy, that play is kind of null and void. So that's what we have to look. Of course, we know he loved 12 personnel. Um, and he's if he go 12 personnel, that's with your two tight ends out there. And some of those guys, it's only like a two man route combination, and maybe have somebody coming out the backfield. So it's not a lot of 11 personnel. We have three wide receiver sets and things like that. So that's what we have to look at as well as the way the game is being called. To your point, if they put Drake London and Kyle Pitts more in the game plan, it definitely would be something that we definitely could see. I will need Mariota to pass at least 150 yards or better. I hope so. I mean, the last 2 weeks, I think he had 100 yards this week, 124, even though he went 13 for 14 the week prior. So I agree, at least 150. Let's go for it. Let's say 250. Why not go ahead and add 100 yards to that? All right, all right. Let's go to the defensive keys, guys. Defensive keys this week. Our defense definitely there's a change from going from 1 week to the next, right? Last week we had literally empty defensive scheme we had to go up against, offensive scheme we had to go up against last week, right? Um, Joe Burrow and his offense got a lot of empty. They spread the Falcons out. We could not able to get pressure on the quarterback in time, and his wide receiver core, along with guys like Hayden Hurst, they feasted on our secondary, our beat up secondary last week. So go to this week opposite. They do have little weapons on the outside, but nothing like what we seen last week. So this more traditional chance for our defense to actually do something. Our defensive line to actually go out and make some plays. Hopefully, our young secondary can stand up and don't give up big plays. That's one of the things that we definitely need to try to avoid. That's not going to be one of my keys. It's just I think that's really what killed us last week is giving up big plays. So we just need to make sure we play solid defense all around. I'm interested to see Dean Payne's scheme this week to see how he decide to play this Carolina offense, who actually did pretty well last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if you watched that game. So not saying that this should be a easy win for the Falcons. I might would have said that last week because I thought the Carolina Panthers was doing a fire sale, but they had came out and said that they don't anticipate or trading any of their defensive players. So looks like they're gonna keep that defense intact and probably wait out on a quarterback. We'll just have to see. what they decide to do. So we're gonna get into the defensive keys. And the first key is to stop the run. We know Foreman, guy that Arthur Smith is familiar with. He was actually with the Atlanta Falcons last year. Um, and so one of the things we got to definitely do, make sure we can stop the run. I think the Atlanta Falcons had a lot of practice this season already with some great running backs. Of course, we had that Seattle running game that was pretty good against us. We was able to shut those guys down in the second half. Then we had to play the Cleveland Browns, probably one of the best rushing attacks that you're going to see in the league this season. So the Atlanta Falcons got a lot of practice stopping the run. So that's going to be our first key to make sure we don't let Foreman. Of course, Christian McCaffrey is not there anymore. Foreman, big guy. Like I said, Arthur Smith has familiarity with him. We should have a little familiarity as well. He was with us last year during preseason and things like that. So one of the things that we definitely got to make sure we do is stop the run. Can't let these guys wreck us in the run game. That's what they want to do. They really want to do sort of like what the Atlanta Falcons want to do: run the ball, control the clock, and get a ball to their defense. So the first key is to stop the running game. Kevin said, "Who's going to play cornerback?" Right now, our cornerbacks are Darren Hall on one side, and more than likely it's going to be D. Alford on the other side. We have Isaiah Aller going to probably play the slot. Now, D. Alford was limited in practice today, but he was back out there, so I anticipate him going. D. Alford cannot go. It'll be Cornell Armstrong once again, probably. They did not activate him to the roster, so he's still a practice squad player. They will have to elevate him again this week, which they probably will do just to make sure we have some insurance. So we probably will see Cornell Armstrong being elevated up to the roster again this week. But right now, my anticipation for our cornerbacks on the outside should be D. Alford and Darren Hall, two young guys. Hopefully these guys will hold up against a guy like DJ Moore. We don't have to worry about Robbie Anderson no more. He got traded. So it's going to be a young receiving core for those guys as well. Should be a pretty good matchup on the outside with our receivers, with our cornerbacks against their receivers. The second key on defense is going to be simple. Don't let the young quarterback beat you, right? He earned the right to actually get another start this week with anticipation that a guy like Sam Darnold could definitely, I think, had an opportunity to turn back. Baker Mayfield, his injury was out, but the intern coach there said that the young quarterback has had opportunity to and earned a spot to actually start again this week. So that's what we're going to see. Of course, we played against him last season. We went to Carolina Panther. He did not have a good outing that game against us. But, that's where growth and experience and all those things and more you play, the better you get. So not going to take anything away from the young quarterback that's we're going to play this weekend. Walker, we just have to see what he's able to do. I can't tell you this. Since Matt Rule's been fired, it seems like the Carolina Panthers has a new leaf on life, and they're out there balling. This game is definitely important for them this week as well. If you look at it, and I'll get in that at the end. But this is an important game for the Carolina Panthers. Believe it or not, they're not out of this NFC South race, so this is an important division game for both teams this weekend. Walker is tuned up quarterback Panthers, but I think we can create turnovers off him. I agree. I mean, that's the whole thing. Believe it or not, that's my last key from defense is create turnovers. So I'm glad you brought that up. But we should be able to. like I said, I don't want to underestimate any opponent in the NFL because that's why the whole cliche term any given Sunday. It's probably what happened to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. They probably thought it was going to be a walk in the park going against a team that was, trading all their players away. They probably didn't take the week serious. They probably didn't prepare like they should have, and they got hit in the mouth, right? And now they're sitting at 3-4 along with the Atlanta Falcons, where everybody think they were just going to run away with the division. And they have a tough game coming up this Thursday night against the Baltimore Ravens. So that's why you don't underestimate your opponents. That's why what I'm saying about Walker is I'm not going to underestimate him because we don't want him to come out and just wreck us because we thought it's going to be an easy game for us this week. Black and red, appreciate it. We also should get at least 2 or 3 sacks. I agree. You know what's exciting about the sacks? We got 3 sacks last week, right? And we almost to our 18 total sacks total that we had all of last season, and we just going to week 8. So, if you look at the bright side of things, that is actual something positive that we can take away from this season already. Our pass rush has been better. Of course, it was revamped. The only guy that came back was Ade Okundeji. We revamped the whole outside linebacker core. I did like what I saw out of D'Angelo Malone, who got his first sack last week. Of course, Lorenzo Carter got his another sack, and then Grady Jarrett continues to do the things he do. Armor Ebiketie is still this close. He creates so much pressure. I think this might be the week Armor Ebiketie get his first sack. So let's see if he can make that happen for him this week. But I agree with you. We should be able to get some sacks this week. The Carolina Panthers does have a good offensive line, believe it or not. It doesn't seem that way because Baker Mayfield got sacked so many times when he was in there. But I think that offensive line a little bit better than we could be expecting. And I'm just saying I really don't want to underestimate the Carolina Panthers like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did last week. And then, like I said, guys, my last key from defense is to create turnovers, right? We was able to turn over Walker last year when we played against him. So I don't see any reason we cannot do that again. This team is a good team creating turnovers this year. Atlanta Falcons, opportunistic defense. They actually go after the ball. They make things happen. They don't have a couple of punch outs. They get to the ball, interception. So this team has really been good in creating turnovers, getting the ball back to our offense. So definitely, I do see opportunities for us to get that this week. And that's the only thing you can always ask for is to create opportunities. I think the young quarterback is going to give us opportunities. Steve Wilkes has came in and had these guys playing a whole lot better than Matt Rule was, so we can't say that. But Matt Rule, he living life because he's still getting paid $48 million over the next 4 years. So you gotta respect that man too. For going out to get the bag and don't even have the coach. Probably end up with another coaching job in college. And still be getting paid from the Carolina Panthers. Just amazing, and they want to think about that. If they don't want to get the players guaranteed contracts, but coaches could sign a contract and get fired and still get his whole $48 million for the next 4 seasons. So you can't even beat that. So I don't think Matt Rule's upset. Guys, and the last thing is the special team. Keys to special teams. Not to sound like a broken record, but I always say there's always 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. And special teams is always important. Just last week, we was able to create momentum going into the second half. Avery Williams almost break one, and I believe it's coming. That young man is so close to breaking a return this year, and I think before this season over, he's going to get him one. just keep doing the blocking that we've been doing, not having penalties on those returns, and giving our offense great field position. Um, I mean, that special teams, that return and the field goal by Young Way Cool with 3 seconds left on the clock was great momentum going into the second half. Definitely, we could not take advantage of that coming out, in the second half, but it was great to see our special teams set us up in those ways. So special teams is always going to be one of the most important things. It always, when it don't go well, that's when it get raised to a high level. But when it's going like it's supposed to, people never really think about it. A simple thing like kicking an extra point, everybody think it's 7 points automatically, but if the execution is not right on the extra point, it could be 6 points instead of seven. So little things like that, execution on special teams is what we always want to see. And for me on special teams, I always start off this is on field position. And I always think field position dictates the way offensive players call the game. They backed up on their goal line. They're going to call the game different. They had the ball at half, uh, at half field. So think about it like that. So you got to think about field position. Field position is always going to be one of the things that you got to think about when you think about special teams. To me, one of the most important stats, things you look at when you're looking at a game, situation part of the game is that field position. Um, always say all punts are not bad punts, right? Those are one of the things. Took an L this week. And the Saints, man, the Saints were so high when they beat the Falcons. I wish I can go back to week one where a lot of the Saints fans was just so happy about their little win that the Falcons gave them in that week. And now they're sitting at the bottom of the NFC South, hoping they can actually figure out who that quarterback is going to be, right? So, but we don't want to worry about the Saints right now. We're worrying about the Falcons having a chance to actually, be number one in the NFC South this week. So he said the whole division trash. That's why it's still wide open. Right now, I'm not gonna argue with you. Everybody's under 500. So, but the easiest way to get to the playoffs is to win your division. So, even though the Aints are, only got 2 wins on the season, they're still in it as well, right along with the Carolina Panthers, Atlanta Falcons, and the Tom Buccaneers. So everybody still has a chance. So I'm not going to argue with you on that. So, like I said, the first key on special teams is field position. All punts are not bad punts. Punt the ball, pin them deep, get the ball back to your offense. Still have good field position, get a 3 and out. So, field position is always going to be important for the offense and defensive side of the ball. Next key is let's go ahead and get one of those returns from Avery Williams. See, can he break one? Somebody open up the lane for him. See, can he actually make a guy miss and he takes it home for his first return in the NFL for a touchdown. He's so close. He's so explosive. He's probably one of the most impressive return men in the game right now. They keep this up, he definitely probably get a All Pro nod in return game where he's been returning the ball this season. So let's see, can we get him to actually get one to return one back? So that's my second key. Let's get that explosive play from Avery Williams. And then the last key is just go ahead and just put it out there and see, can we get a block punt, another block punt, block field goal. See, can we make a play in that way to add to that piece of complementary football that we want to see from all three phases: offense, defense, and special teams. So that's going to be my keys this week. course, we go back through the offense. We're gonna run the ball. Make sure that we can actually do the same thing we've been doing to everybody else defensive front. We can do to that Carolina defensive front. Um, we want to make sure that we can get that passing game going somehow, some way. Let's make sure we keep our young, talented pass catchers engaged in the game. They need to get touches. Can't let Drake London go through a game only one reception the whole game. It's all about winning, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure these guys are staying engaged. So we got to feed these guys touchdowns, get them some touches in the game to make sure feel like they're involved and not just blocking all the time. And then the last thing, just saying, I want to control the game on offense. Make sure we good, solid on first and second down, and then on third downs, make sure we convert those long, methodical drives. No problem with that. Long we come away with touchdowns. On the defensive end, we want to be able to stop the run, make that young quarterback beat us. I don't think he can. If that what it comes down to, we don't want Foreman to be able to wreak any havoc like they was able to do last year. Chobert as well. Don't want to forget about Chobert that they got him there as well in their run game. So those two running backs, we definitely want to be able to stop and then create turnovers. PJ Walker was able to give us a couple of turnovers last year. See, can we recreate some of that magic we played last time we played those guys in Carolina? So this is a winnable game, but like I said, I don't think we should underestimate the Carolina Panthers this week because any given Sunday, I think Tampa Bay found out about that. I think they thought these guys was just going to sell it in because they don't give away Christian McCaffrey, but they still got a solid defense. And if you don't come out ready to play, you can get slapped in the mouth like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did this past weekend. Last thing on special teams, we want to make sure we um, control the field position. Let's get Avery Williams his first return for a touchdown in the kickoff or in the punt game, and then let's block a punt or kick. Let's see can we make that happen. So those are my keys, guys, for this week. Wallace said what's good, Recondo. We need to get the win this week. 100%. It is a winnable game. We just got to go out and execute. I think Falcons one of the most stable teams in the NFC South right now. So that's definitely one of the things that we really have to look at. But we still got to go out and execute. We're not just going to go ahead and put a W in the win column right now. They got to go out and earn that thing. Falcons control their own destiny at this point. They must win, but need to play well. I'm glad you said that 3:30 because my last topic I want to talk about today is the NFC South, right? So we talk about NFC South, and you just mentioned the where the Falcons lie with their destiny in this division. So let's go ahead and just put this week out in perspective. I mentioned this on Monday, but if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose to the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday Night Football, which is definitely possible, the way that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers been playing this season so far, they lost 4 of their last 5 games. Should have lost against the Falcons, maybe. If we take away a roughing the passer call, maybe the Falcons go down and take that win as well. But no, that's in the past. But if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was to lose this Thursday, the game on Sunday is for sole first place. Which at that point, the Falcons is just like 3:30 said, is control their own destiny. Now we don't have to worry about other teams losing for us to get the division. It'll be all totally on the Atlanta Falcons and the way they play to determine if they can actually win the division. Because if they win out and win their games, they don't have to worry about what other teams do. So this game is really, really important. And then you put it in even higher perspective than that. This game, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose on Thursday, right? I say if, if they lose on Thursday, the Carolina Panthers, if they was to win on Sunday, will be first place in the division. So that's how insane the NFC South is right now. A team that we thought that was out of it completely could definitely, if they get a Bucks loss and a win themselves this Sunday, could definitely be right back in first place in this division. So we want to make sure the Falcons are able to do that. That's going to be something big for these guys. But just think about it. That's really weird to think in week 8 when we was coming in this season. I don't think anybody had the Falcons, not even including myself, right? Not having the NFC South being in the position it is to say that um a 4-4 team could actually be the number one in their division, and it'll be the Falcons, not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not the New Orleans Saints, right? It'll be the Atlanta Falcons. So um, this is a big game. Even if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win this Thursday, the Falcons win, we're still tied for first place. So that's just one thing we got to do. We can't worry about the teams. We got to go out and do our business. Um, don't take the Carolina Panthers lightly. They're going to come out and play. Just ask the Bucks. That's what happened to them. So we can't come out and be slacking. We got to be ready to go. Injuries, no excuses, right? We talked about the depth of this team. And we're going to have 2 young cornerbacks on the outside. We don't have to worry about a receiving core like we had to play last week. And maybe we can start getting some guys back, but one game at a time. Wallace says, but I think we need to go at least 5-1 in the next 6 games before the week. That's possible because when you're looking at the schedule, the Chargers, and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, right? We don't worry about the Panthers this week, but that Chargers game is probably one of the games where the Falcons might not be favored. I could honestly say that the Falcons could be favored in some of these other games coming up. You can remember we have the Panthers again after the Chargers, the Bears, and then the Commanders. So the Falcons definitely have winnable games coming up against teams that the Bears had a big win on Monday Night Football, so they're back at 3-4. But we definitely have a chance to make our own headways, and this is a great point. We can go 5-1 in the next games, 6 games. That will be very impressive for this team. Yeah, I agree, and hopefully we can make it to that bye week without sustaining any more injuries. This is a late bye week for the Atlanta Falcons, really late. I don't think the schedulers did any favors for the Falcons this year. There's a lot of games to play before you go to your bye. A lot of, especially for some of our younger guys who's playing a lot of our young rookies who have never played this many games before. Got to play all these games before the bye week. So let's just hope that our team can stay healthy and don't sustain any more major injuries. That's the name of the game, but hopefully these guys can stay healthy. Any news on if we are bringing back any secondary players for Sunday? AJ Terrell's is probably going to be out. He did not practice today. Jalen Hawkins is in concussion protocol. Only guy that probably is going to be back is D. Alford. So he's probably going to be filling in that spot that AJ Terrell is not going to be there. So we're going to have 2 young corners out there, Darren Hall and D. Alford. Then Isaiah Oliver is going to be our secondary and probably filling in at that strong safety position. It's probably going to be either Eric Harris or Dean Marlowe. So one of those guys is going to fill that spot with your veterans. Not too worried, pretty much worried about the safety spots, but I am. We'll have to see D. Alford. D. Alford impressed us on the offseason. His play, that's why he earned a roster spot. So he's going to have to get out and prove it. He is a competitive player. He's going to get out and fight each down. Not really worried about his competitiveness. He's going to give it all he got. Darren Hall, He has showed flashes. He can make plays. So we definitely going to see what these guys can be able to do in our secondary. But right now, like it's going to be Darren Hall and D. Alford and back there, along with Isaiah Oliver, Richard Grant, and one of those are the safeties. It's going to be Harris place Hawkins. I agree. I think it's going to be Harris. The only reason I said Dan Marlowe because that's who they had back there last week when Hawkins went out. They put Marlowe back there. But I think I agree with you. I think Harris is better. Can play in the box. You know, Harris did play some linebackers who was with New Orleans, so he's a big hitter. I remember last year he had a big hit in Atlanta against Sam Darnold. Um, actually that was against Robbie Anderson. I take it back, not Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was hit by 4-year Olakun in that game. Pretty big stuff down in the red zone. So um, that's just some of the plays I still remember from that game. I remember that game well last year because the Carolina Panthers, man, Chuba Herbert and those guys ran the ball down our throat last year. Do not want a repeat of that. I think our defensive front is a whole lot better than last year. Grady is playing out of his mind, and if we can stop Nick Chubb, he still had plays. I'm not saying we shut Nick Chubb down, but we was able to to be able to manage that run game about those guys. Um, that's a good practice. Get ready for this Carolina team because they want to run the ball. There's no secrets about that, especially with a young quarterback back there. They want to be able to try to run the ball as well. So it's one of those another games where it could be a battle of the trenches, right? We're going to see what happens with that. It says, I think they need to put Anderson in place of Walker. What do you think? Yeah, you know what? This you probably like the third person that don't said that. Um, I agree. I think Walker just be out of place, man. I think he's good in space, in in coverage, but I agree with you. I think he reads the game wrong and run fits. He seemed like to be out of space, and he take wrong angles sometimes as well. So I mean, I'm really not don't have an argument or see a reason why Anderson doesn't get more playing time than Walker. Like I said, I do love Walker and his in space though. He in coverage. He's really good in coverage. And maybe they could go to that three linebacker look that they've been giving a lot this year. They did it in Los Angeles. They did it again when they played the Browns. So that could be a look where we see all three of those guys on the field. I think Rashawn Evans has been really solid, so he's not on the table. But I would not have an argument if they were to put Anderson in over Walker. I agree. It just seemed like he'd be out of place, especially on run fit. Sometimes, like he over just be in the wrong gaps. He overread the play, and then guys come right up at the hole that he should have been in the first place. So, um, definitely plays much. Yes, and they did the week that that Walker was out. You could see the number of snaps that Anderson got. I mean, that's when he led the team in tackles that week too. So, you're not wrong on that. With a newer quarterback this week, Anderson should be do well this week. Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, we they're familiar with Walker. It's not like he played against us last year as well. Um, and after because I think Cam Newton went out in that second half, and then he came in and he didn't fare any better against us that in that game in Carolina. So we have seen him before, like I said, but that was last season. We don't want to, underestimate anybody. These guys come out and shock us, man, and then we all be looking crazy like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were. I mean, they only was able to put up 3 points against this defense, the Carolina Panthers, and that's really shocking to me. I didn't really watch the game. I watched some highlights, but And I think Tom Brady went like 2 for or something on third down, so they was not able to move the ball on the this Carolina Panthers defense. Not even really thinking that they can do that to us, but you just have to be prepared and ready to play. Like I said, on any given Sunday, so that's what we got to look at. So, guys, that's all I have. Going on an hour here. Definitely go back and look if you came in late and look at my keys. Let me know if you think I was spot on with the keys. I'm not going to give a prediction like I did last week because I think I might have jinxed us. Because they came out and scored a touchdown in the first 4 plays of the game. Then it was up 21-0 within a blink of an eye. Then we was pretty much out of it. So I'm just going to say I think the Falcons going to play well this week. I do think they're going to get the W. They just need to do the things they need to do to execute. And let's see, can we be number 1 in the division by the end of the week? So that's all I have. This is your boy Recondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.